Hi, I'm Captain Chris Cassidy, Naval Academy graduate, 1993. I was a math major while I was there. Spent about 10 years in the SEAL teams before coming to NASA. I've been an astronaut now for about 10 years. Since I've been at NASA, had the opportunity to go to space 2 times, once on a shuttle, and then most recently on a Russian Soyuz rocket. I've done 6 spacewalks.
There you go. Yep, that freed up.
The Academy does a fantastic job of giving us all the tools we need. Those 4 years there enabled me to do the next job I was going to do when I first got commissioned. I was then ready to go on to the next milestone in my career.
So thank you for joining us for another episode of Talk4Ten. Today we are here with Chris Cassidy. He is the president and CEO of the National Medal of Honor. So Chris, tell us a little bit about your background.
I grew up in a small town in Maine. Never thought about the military as a young guy. The idea came to me as I was trying to figure out a way to pay for school. Knew I wanted to go to college, and finding a way to pay for that was a thing that led me to the military, and eventually got into the Naval Academy. Went there for 4 years. I graduated in 1993, and boom, I got in the SEAL teams. I was in the Navy for 28 years, 11 of those in the SEAL teams from 93 to 2004. And then in 2004, I got selected to become an astronaut and moved to Houston, worked at the Johnson Space Center, and served there for 17 years or so.
Wow. So of all of that, what would you say was the most amazing thing that you saw, either when you were a Navy SEAL or in NASA? What would be your number one top thing that
Well, that's a hard one.
Because I'm sure you did a lot of, just being a SEAL alone is pretty but then an astronaut on top of it.
Probably looking at the planet from space.
Yeah.
Like it's a very unique perspective. I'm very fortunate that I got to see it from that view. Not a lot of people do. And I was this 500th person to fly in space. I think we're up to about 600 some now. So just really special. And seeing the planet go by between your toes, there's nothing like it.
Yeah. Was it just really scary? The experience going up there, what did it, your body feels just...
Well, there's a lot of ways to answer that question because there's so many emotions.
Yeah.
You've got the nerves of, am I trained enough am I going to remember everything? Am I going to see the right things at the right time? All the sort of operational issues that come with training and preparing for a risky endeavor, whether it's in the military or firefighting or first responder, whatever. Training is the core element for the unit, and an individual is part of the unit, and the unit's effectiveness is the result of the sum of the individuals, and so you don't want to be the person that doesn't block your guy, and sacks the quarterback, so to speak. So there's that. There's the nerves. There's the pride. Your family, your loved ones, your friends from your whole life are there watching the launch. You've got an American flag on your shoulder. You're representing the country. In my case, I felt like I was representing the United States Navy also. So there's all of those emotions. And then there's the human aspect of it. If once the rocket engine cuts off, I can talk about launch too, and you are looking out at the planet, it's like, holy cow, how am I so lucky to have this view right now? This is quite something.
So going back to what you're talking about, so you left during COVID, you're the only two, but when you got back, were you just surprised on how everything was shut down? It was a totally different atmosphere when you came back?
Well, when you're
know about it?
Yeah, when you're up there, it's not like you're isolated from Earth entirely. So we have, of course, we have email. We have a phone, the ability to call any phone we want. It's the best deal ever. Yeah. Nobody can call you. You can call them, and when you're done with the phone call, you're like, the satellite, we're gonna lose it. Okay, bye. So all joking aside, I was speaking to my family and to my wife and extended friend network all the time, and understood what was going on. And we don't have live TV on the space station, but NASA records the nightly news, and they send you up news clips and stuff. So we very much knew about the turmoil of 2020. Remember, it was COVID. racial tensions, it was political unrest, it was just a mess.
Yeah.
This combined snowball of just messy.
Yeah.
And so we were well aware of it. In fact, NASA does a wonderful job of, they call it the psychological support team for the astronauts in space, and normally it's them doing the work to support you. It felt to me like we were the support folks for the people on the ground.
Yeah.
Our life, the three of us, our life was very predictable. We didn't have to wear masks. It was just the three of us. We were isolated. We knew what our daily life was like. We had plenty of food. We had, it was fine. It was the same as if it wasn't COVID on the ground. So to us, it was very stable. When it came back in, I guess November of 21, so I was up there like a little over 6 months. The very first time I had a mask, the capsule landed, it's in the middle of Kazakhstan. I was a Russian rocket I launched and came home in, and it launches and lands in Kazakhstan. So it lands in this kind of, the steppes they call it. It's basically this big kind of tundra area, very flat. And as you're coming down in a parachute, the helicopters see you, and the helicopters land pretty much right when you land, and the people get out, and they're right there to help you open the hatch. And I remember that the hatch comes open, and this big, burly, sausage finger Russian guy hand that smelled like cigarette smoke stuffed a mask on my face. I'm like, dude, your hands are probably grosser than this air. But that was my first experience to wearing a mask and coming back and getting used to it. And by then, remember, it was natural for people to leaving the house, keys, wallet, cell phone, mask.
Yeah, you had the one around your neck.
You had the one around your neck, get the one in your purse, in your pocket, whatever. Yeah. And so it took me a little bit to get used to that, but anyways, I knew what we were getting into.
Yeah. So going back to that, so what is, when you come off of a mission, how do you get your body? I mean, do they keep you in a closed place? Or, I mean, is there like some psychological stuff from being up there? What do they do to like get you back reacclimated to?
So there's a couple things that we worry about and monitor while we're up there. One is radiation, and so we wear little monitors, but we're subject to the same restrictions that a nuclear power plant worker is, same OSHA regulations. So it's monitored and cared about, but that's really not a huge risk to us on the space station. For the crew that ultimately goes to Mars, radiation would be a big deal, but for now, on the space station, not so much. The other thing is your bone density. When your body feels the absence of gravity for an extended period of time, your bone, and this is me, a non-doctor talking, but your bones are like, okay, I don't have to be hard and stiff and rigid anymore. It doesn't need me to do that.
Yeah.
So your bones don't reproduce and they don't stay hard and firm. They get very brittle. And in the course of as quickly as like a month, you have significant bone density loss if you don't exercise weighted exercise. So we've learned this over the trial and tribulations over decades of people being in space. So now we have a treadmill, a bicycle, and a weight machine. And the treadmill and bicycle are nice for cardiovascular fitness and basically just a mental break, but it's really weightlifting on your legs and your hips and your back, your spine, your big muscle groups to energize your bones. Mm-hmm. And so now you come back and your muscles are strong and your bones are healthy. But now I'm getting to your question. None of those things are used to working with your balance and your inner ear and your eyeballs and your muscles. They don't know how all work it together again because they haven't needed to in a long time. So you're very wobbly, very unstable. So we spend the first couple weeks, couple hours a day in the gym, not doing weightlifting. When we come back, we're doing agility, orange cones on the basketball court, cutting and changing direction, standing on one foot, throwing a tennis ball on the wall, all things to dial in your balance.
That is great, but I guess that does keep you grounded to have friends. Have you ever been on a flight where you're like, oh, I don't like this person?
No, astronauts of all nations are pretty agreeable people. We tend to select, and that's a huge part of the selection criteria, is somebody that you'd want to spend time with and, who do you want to go camping with?
Yeah.
A jerky person doesn't endear one to the crew, and the success of the crew depends on the camaraderie that exists and the cohesiveness, just like a firefighting unit, a military unit, whatever. It's the same thing.
So do you keep in touch with the people that you did the cruise with, or?
Oh yeah. In fact, I just in November was at an astronaut gathering. One of the European astronauts hosted something in the Netherlands, and we all went there to get together. We have an astronaut reunion every couple years.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is really cool.
What am I looking forward to most on this mission? This is my third one, and I am going into it with the mindset of I'm going to cherish every single day that I'm there, because it might be the last days that I get to look out the cupola window and see Earth. So I'm really looking forward to appreciating every one of those days. I'll be happy to get back to Earth, to be with my family, but I'm really looking forward to valuing each of those days while I'm there. I'm astronaut Chris Cassidy. Thanks for being part of Expedition 63.